8 billion people now living on the planet, there are a lot of mouths to feed. The ever-increasing food demand has caused agriculture to transform our land to grow crops and livestock. It's the largest single cause of biodiversity loss and emits more greenhouse gases than all of our cars, planes and ships put together. Most of the damage is caused by livestock farming, which on its own covers 28% of the Earth's surface, more than all of the world's forests combined.
I'm in Finland to find out about a new type of food found hidden in this forest and the science that could transform the way we eat.
We are kind of pushing the boundaries of our planet. We are using 70% already for agriculture, and this is way too much. So we have to be more efficient how we produce food.
Dr. Juha-Pekka Petkanen is co-founder of Solar Foods, a Finnish startup which claims to have pioneered the world's most sustainable protein. And it all started here, in this Finnish forest.
Beautiful space to be in, but I am intrigued how this plays a part in the story of your innovation. So why is this space important?
This is one of the places where we have been looking for the kind of samples to search for the organism that is key in our process, so that from the biodiversity we can get a suitable microorganism that can grow on these very minimal resources. We could then use that microbial biomass as a food ingredient.
You've mentioned microbes. What does that actually mean? What is a microbe?
So microorganism, so there are of course different microorganisms. So yeast is quite known to us, and then there are lactic acid bacteria like in yogurt. But then forest floor is full of various microorganisms, turning the woody biomass into soil that we are standing on now. So we have some wet area here, so we could maybe take a scoop from there.
The microbes they're looking for are known as hydrogen oxidizing bacteria that use hydrogen and CO2, turning them into energy-rich organic compounds like proteins. They're mostly found underwater, where there are lower levels of oxygen present.
So you're having to dig quite deep to get this sample. We're obviously in a forest surrounded by dirt. Why is it the dirt under the water that you need?
I guess more on the surface, then you have more of the plant activity and photosynthetic activity, whereas deeper it's more decomposing community. So I think we have a nice microbial community. I think we can work with this. Millions of microbes anyway already here.
So using microorganisms in the production of food isn't new. We use the fermentation process of yeast and bacteria to make bread, alcohol and yoghurt. The concept of creating an edible biomass from microbes was actually conceived by NASA in the 1960s as a possible option to be grown on space missions. But since then, only a few companies are pursuing it back on Earth.
Yeah, so we will prepare this for cultivation, so we will take a small part of this.
The sample is added to a flask to be cultivated.
So basically these will be the minerals that the cells need to grow, and essentially the organisms that we know that will utilize the gases, so they will start to grow. And we get to the cultivation where we have just the cells, only microbes.
Once this reaches a certain density, it's transferred to continue life in a petri dish where the colonies can be identified.
There's an individual colony, so there should be just one cell that starts to grow. So then all of the cells in the colony are offspring of that one cell.
And so within this petri dish is the microbe that you need?
Yes.
Now the front runners have been established, they're further cultivated side by side in these mini reactors.
So here we can do kind of parallel cultivations, compare the candidates and compare conditions. And it's not necessarily so easy to find an organism which is not only fast in growing, but also that is safe for human consumption.
4 years ago, it was a sample like this that led you to a really exciting discovery.
Yeah, so we had dozens of candidates that we went through. And what we discovered is essentially, this kind of hydrogen oxidizing bacteria, which we identified as Xanthobacter. This is then the organism that is used to produce Solein.
Once the perfect microbe had been identified, the next step was to cultivate at scale.
So this is where the magic happens.
Yes, this is our pilot facility. So we have been here 5 years. So we are feeding in the gases. So the gas is hydrogen, oxygen, CO2. So these are the main ingredients for the process. But then we are feeding in also the minerals.
So this is its food being dripped in.
Yeah.
This cocktail of additives, including zinc, iron and calcium, is just 5% of the microbe's food. The rest comes from the 4 vital gases extracted from the atmosphere.
So our thinking with food out of thin air is that where do we come from? What are we made of? And me as a chemical engineer, I think that we are made of chemical elements. So where do we get these chemical elements that we are made of? So we are made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. So this is 95% of our body. And also the microorganisms, they are 95% of these 4 chemical elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen.
So to harness these elements, Solar Food use an air capture device to capture water and CO2. Electrolysis then splits the water to create hydrogen and oxygen. Over billions of years, microbes have evolved specialist metabolic abilities to convert these environmental resources into biomass. And Solar Foods are providing the perfect conditions for the microbes to grow rapidly. Using renewable energy means this system is 100 times more efficient at converting energy into calories.
Oh wow, look at the colour of that. We've seen this in a murky brown pond water colour, and then the solution becomes milky white, and now here it is, a bright mustard yellow. Have you done anything for it to come out this colour?
No, this is just the way it is. So now we have quite a thick cell density. So when there are more of them, you really see the color. So we collect the cells here. They are still alive in this vessel, but then from this step we do the pasteurization so that they go through kind of heat treatment, so they are killed, and then we collect the killed cells here in this vessel.
Why do you need to kill the cells in the process?
So if it would be live cells, so then it would be a probiotic product. So then it's a different category to get approval for. So in the separator we remove 90% of water, so then it goes to homogenization and drying, and that is essentially the Solein production process. So we have,
and that's it there?
Yes.
It looks almost like a bag full of turmeric spice.
Yeah, but a lot more protein. So this is essentially 65% protein, 10% fatty acids, 15% fibers, and then the minerals.
And so this is a food product like no other?
Yeah, so this can be used in very many different food products.
Well, you know what I'm now going to have to ask. Can we taste it?
Yeah, let's go on.
Have a taste?
Thin if it's possible.
Brilliant.
The resulting yellow powder has been given the brand name Solein. It's been used to create a number of food products such as meat and dairy alternatives, protein bars and pasta. In the development kitchen, they continue to work on new ways to use it.
So here we turn the powder into food products. And today we're having a soup with Solein.
So this is the powder we've already seen in the lab, and then this is the solution that you use to cook with.
Yeah, like a egg replacer or a milk type of liquid.
Brilliant. Well, I'm really excited to taste it.
This natural and sustainable source of nutrient-rich protein sounds too good to be true. But what does it actually taste like?
Oh, doesn't really smell of anything.
If you want to try with the tip of your like a spoon or something, it's okay because...
Quite an odd feeling to be trying for the very first time a food that is not of plant basis or animal basis, of something totally different. Let's see what it tastes like. It's very dry, but it's almost quite creamy. Thing is, that is not what I expected it to taste like. Not bad, but it's also not how you would eat this product, because obviously you're not going to have a spoonful of flour, are you? So Sini has prepared a dish for us to try with this baked into it. What have we got here?
Here we have a soup, and in the soup we have used the Solein base, a Solein cream cheese, and in the carrot tartar, we have a meat analog made of Solein.
And so this is an entirely vegan dish?
Entirely, yes.
Just tastes like really nice soup. And this is a really healthy soup too. It's not just nice tasting, is it?
Yeah, there's good parts from animal and vegetable world. So there's iron, what you usually get from meat products. Solein has it, and also other minerals like B vitamins. And here we have ice cream. So here the Solein is in its most plain form what comes to the taste.
It's really creamy. I mean, ice cream can never be bad, can it? It's actually a real honour to know that I'm one of the first in the world to have the chance to try this. But presumably you're hoping that that won't be for long. What does the future hold? How are you hoping more people will get the chance to try this?
Yeah, so we have novel food approval in Singapore. So we will be selling Solein through restaurant later this year. But we are also building our first factory, so factory of one here in Helsinki area. So then we will have essentially 100 times bigger production capacity at the end of this year. So we hope that people in the world will find it delicious and exciting.
While there's plenty going on for Solar Foods here on Earth, there are also plans to return the concept to its root idea. Solar Foods have received funding from the European Space Agency to build a small-scale bioreactor that could be used in space.
Of course, in spacecraft you capture CO2 already anyway, so you have concentrated CO2, and then how do you produce oxygen in the spacecraft? You produce it with electrolysis, so you split water with electricity, you get oxygen, and then the hydrogen is kind of a leftover side product. So I mean, that's why it's so perfect fit for spacecraft, and it of course originates from the space research.
And what's the potential impact longer term that this science, this innovation could have?
We think that this is a key technology for the future. The globe is becoming hotter and hotter, and it's becoming more difficult to live in certain places in the world. So I think that with our approach we can sustain live food production in such areas.
It's hoped food ingredients like Solein will help reduce our reliance on agriculture and allow the free lands to then be rewilded.
And yet this is something that's been around for probably longer than humankind. It just needed the right minds to extract it.
Yeah, this world belongs to bacteria. We are just visiting here briefly.